What's up and good morning, guys. Welcome back to another video. We are back here on our second restaurant project this year, and well, we've made some progress and we've taken a few steps back. Progress wise though, check out outside. Papa Rhino went ahead and got all of the patios poured, so we've got this one, that one, and then the main one over here. This nice big patio area with like our 16-inch stem wall, all nice and finished on the front. We've got our joints cut in, and then we're gonna probably end up with some type of cable railing system right here for the outdoor dining area. As we talked about before, there will be a doorway right here. We're gonna take that window out, put a doorway in so the servers can come out and serve this area. That's the good news. That's the moving forward. Let me take you to the moving backwards. So if I recall correctly, originally there was not gonna be a lot of plumbing getting done. However, plumbers came, checked all of the plumbing, and realized like all of it was failing. So in lies our giant mess here of concrete that has to come out, dirt that has to come out. See if I can get the lights on in the kitchen. One of these switches over here somewhere, maybe. Switches are on. Let's go to the breaker. Try to not fall in that ditch right there. Okay, which one is it? Red one? That one always scares me. Pops a lot up there. Oh, we got the hood light on. There we go. All right, so, well, welcome to this mess. I mean, all the way through into the walk-in refrigerator. I mean, it is just an absolute, yeah, there's not a lot of fun stuff happening in here. Take you to the other side. I mean, it's not ideal considering over in the dining room area, we are basically doing finish work. And now we've got stuff getting opened up. So over here, back to our finish work section, we got Scott's pyramid wall looking fantastic and beautiful. And then we got 3 feet deep following a sewer line and a bunch of dirt here. But we can't let that slow us down. So while those guys are doing that, we're gonna just keep moving forward with the finish work. Offsite, I'll take you to a little video. Offsite, we have a bunch of lumber getting finished. So everything in here is going to be Doug fir. That's Dave's little trick he likes to use because Doug fir is cheap. So how do we take a cheap material, dress it up just a little bit so it doesn't look like standard off-the-shelf builder grade lumber, but we're not shelling out a ton of money for high-end lumber, which is what we did for the last brunch restaurant that we built, and this is actually gonna be their second location of that. So we're mimicking that. So we've got your standard builder grade. This was a 2x4x20. We have ripped it down. And again, this is going to be part of our crown and base detail. So we've ripped it down, we've planed 2 sides. So instead of having that rough finish like you get on a standard 2x4, we plane that through the planer a couple of times. So we then plane the other edge, basically the 2 edges that you're going to see. And that is how you get this nice smooth 2x. Then we go ahead and whitewash it, which takes about a day or so to dry. And then once that dries, we come back and we do 2 coats of conversion varnish. And that is that shiny clear that you see on top right there. Hopefully you can see that that is shiny. And that's what protects the lumber. So this right here, just a tiny little bit of what we've done. Over at the third restaurant we're gonna be building, we're using that as our factory right now to make all of this stuff. We have hundreds of feet of 2x material from 2x4s, 2x2s, 2x10s, all of the above, 2x12s, all getting finished because we can't put it up until it is finished. So we need to pre-finish a lot of material, which is why I haven't been here very much because we've been over there getting all that stuff knocked out. I mean, from cutting it, milling it, finishing it, it just takes a lot of time. But we're close. We are very close to all of that being done. We can move it all over here and then we can start actually like doing some stuff. So we got OSB on the wall. We didn't realize how bad this wall was until we put the OSB up. So we've actually had to fur the wall out a little bit. You can see we got some drywall shims there. They get a little thicker in the middle. Up top, they get a little thicker. But the guys have done a fantastic job of getting that wall back to dang near perfectly straight. But in doing that, and here's where all these little details come into play. On this back wall, because we're starting finish work, we have this box area right here. That's gonna be a backrest. There's gonna be a seat down below it. Scott's pyramids. But we had this little weird detail that was gonna happen right here. So we had to kind of bump these columns out, right? So we got a little corner bumped out, makes it look like there's columns in the corner. Well, over here, by the time they got this wall straight, we realized when we come in with our 2x2s or our crown molding or our baseboard, you're gonna have about a 3/8 reveal right there, which this other wall over here, because we built those 2 corner columns the same, would have had a much bigger reveal if our crown was right there. So we had to fur this wall out, even though there's nothing wrong with this wall. So our fur strips are all straight. They're not like, they don't change as it goes down. But we now needed to pump this wall out a little bit so that way that the reveal on this column is the same as the other side. Again, small detail, a lot of work to achieve it, but we want things to look right in the end.
Now, we're just gonna try to not even look over here until this dirt is out of here. But coming this way, we're starting to build all of the pony walls, and this is gonna kind of section off the dining area. So we got our ramp going up there, pony wall here, little pony wall there, and then we're gonna start working on right now finishing this other little pony wall that goes right there.
And I'm gonna apologize now for being a little bit loud. They are chipping some tile out right now. Probably not the ideal time to film. Scott is gonna be knocking out and finishing his pyramid wall today. I've got the ceiling all painted in the new sand color. That's gonna be our backdrop. Well, the ceiling grid slash track is painted. We still have to paint all the tiles, which will be happening off-site. Speaking of off-site, in the beginning of this video, I showed you guys our off-site, I guess, finish factory, because every single piece of wood in here, aside from like the furring strips on those walls back there, are finished in a whitewash and 2 coats of conversion varnish. So we have to have another spot that we can completely take over and do all of that, because spraying that conversion varnish is no fun. Well, it's no fun for anybody around you that is not actively wearing a respirator and spraying it. Today, though, we are working on getting a lot of the trim put in. So we are trimming out all of these pony walls with a 2x8 ripped down, planed, rerouted. So we basically take a 2x8 or a 2x10 and make a 2x8 out of it, but with our own edge on it versus the factory edge. Seems like a lot of work, I know, but that is what it is. So we're working on getting all of these capped, because we have to cap these before we can put our tongue and groove cedar, which is gonna go vertically right here. And then before we drywall these walls, we have to put our crown molding in our baseboards. I know, it sounds backwards, but that's the way that this system was designed on the last restaurant that we built, and this is the second location for that, so we have to mimic it. So I've currently got my corners glued up. We've got this one. It is in the drying stage, but we've got that miter all nice and glued up, so we're waterfalling all of our edges, and we have it to where all of the grain matches all the way over. Glue dries, we will then set this where it goes. Now let me show you an easy way to figure out your cuts and your miters for all of these weird angles that we're gonna be doing. Over here, we're gonna be doing a 2x12 cap. Well, it's actually a 2x11 or so cap. But this is gonna go from here, over, up, all the way across the top, back down, back over, and back down. Now, unfortunately, because it's so long, we can't waterfall every bit of it, but we can make sure that this section, and this section are all out of one board. That way the grain all lines up for that, and we'll just have a different grain running from there all the way across the top. Again, that would be like a 32-foot board, and those just don't exist. So for getting these angles, instead of having to try to measure all the way out to figure out where that miter is going to be, we built this little template. We just set that in place where she goes. Then from there you come in and you mark, and then we mark down here, boom, where we want it to go. Now these are 10 inches, and we know that. I've also went ahead and did it on this side. Put that in place right there, mark, mark. Now all we gotta do is we gotta run our tape measure from our line to our other line. Instead of trying to guess where that miter is gonna end somewhere out here, we know from line to line, which is 31 inches, we then add 20 because we have 10 and 10, and then that gives us our overall from our miter to our miter. Now outside here you can see AJ is making another one of those 2x8s out of a 2x10. We rip down both sides equally, so we get a nice edge on both sides. And basically we're just getting rid of the factory look of builder grade 2x4 or 2x material, which is here. You can see it's got deep texture on it, looks like crap. But by trimming both these sides off, we get rid of the ugly factory edge. And then we plane down the top, which gives us a nice hard edge here. And then we'll come back and we'll reroute an 1/8 inch round over, which is similar to what the factory stuff has, but it is again now in a controlled environment and more so the way that we want it versus the inconsistency that comes from the factory. sandpaper gallery.
Are we in the angle?
Alrighty, y'all, well, we have been making some progress. You see all of the walls are drywalled. They're painted. The crown and base are up. Crown and base goes up first. Drywall butts up to it instead of going on top. That leaves us enough room to put a 2x2 with a 3/8 reveal. And this wall is gonna get strips of 2x2s all the way down at 4 inches on center. The color might look a little weird on camera, I don't know. But we've gone with a, it's actually called peach fuzz. It's like a fleshy pink color, which mimics the color of the 2x4s and the 2x2s once they have been whitewashed and conversion varnished. It's a nice little trick, looks really good. We still have to finish out this area. They drywalled that. It's gonna be similar to over here. There will be another bench right there. So that little gap in between and the gap below is also going to get painted pink and 2x2s. We've also got all of our pony walls done. They have tongue and groove on them. They have a nice cap. We actually have plywood on them right now to protect them because things like this get beat up during the construction process. So you can see this is just a little temporary protection over top of the 2x cap that goes all the way around. Now this video may be one of the absolute most chopped up videos I have ever posted, but we are just doing certain tasks here. I mean, we're moving and we're making great progress, but some tasks just take all day and they're very repetitive, such as putting up all of these 2x2s, which are now in place. I just shut all the lights off and everything for the day. I probably should have filmed this before I did that, but this room's got all of its 2x2 detail there, all of its 2x2 detail there, and it's just one of those details that takes an absolute ton of time because of the method to the madness. So by putting OSB, we screw the OSB into the studs. Now we can screw anywhere we want on this wall and we don't have to hit a stud because the OSB will grab the screw. So when we go to put our 2x2s, every 4 inches on center, if there was nothing back there but drywall, these screws would not bite. And especially when you're doing 2x2s, you guys know how crazy and squirrely these get. And especially these, we cut all of these ourselves out of 2x4s. Because you get a little better product than buying just standard 2x2s, plus we mill them down. We do all kinds of stuff. These 2x2s have had a lot of time in them to get them to this state. So once we have the OSB back there, we then put our crown and our base, which is just 2x4 and a 2x4, but that little horizontal section that comes out this way is milled down skinnier right here. So this is the horizontal portion, and that is the portion that goes up and down, and then we cap it with that. So you'll see that detail everywhere in here that has the 2x2 wall. This wall over here is getting prepped to get 2x2s. You can see a lot is happening over here. Rebar's in, concrete is getting ready to go back in here. So over here, you can see what happens. We put the OSB, we then put the crown and base, and inside of the crown and base, we put drywall. So instead of putting the drywall first, then screwing that crown and base to it, we put that up first and the drywall goes on the inside. It's encapsulated basically by the crown and the base. And then because we pre-planned all of this, when we go to put our 2x2 in, we have a 3/8 reveal Peel it up a little bit. Our 2x2 will stop about 3/8 shy of that. We like 3/8 reveals. So you can see we had to cap the face of this wall right here. So we cut this board down, and that leaves us with basically a 3/8, and that leaves us with basically a 3/8 reveal right there. 3/8 is the theme of our reveals. So coming back over, that wall will then get painted pink. So this room is almost done, other than the benches that have to get finished, which is, there's one big long booth bench that goes here. That one's pretty much already done. Obviously the backrest is gonna go here, seat cushion there. That gets made offsite by an upholstery shop. This room though, aside from that, is pretty much done. Now, over here is where the giant nightmare and mess is. So there used to be an old couple of walls in here that separated the kitchen from the Rubio's counter. Those have since been torn down. And there's a massive problem with this place being that it was all metal stud framed, which is typical for commercial construction. You see us use wood a lot, which is, we're kind of rare in using wood, but a lot of the stuff here is metal stud framed. And well, I don't know if there was a flood, I don't know if it's because we're by the beach, I don't know what, but the bottom plate of every single wall in here was completely rotten away and missing. So I'll show you this little half wall that is really mainly used to get all of the plumbing into the kitchen area. You'll notice nobody demoed anything here, but there is no bottom plate to this wall. They have completely rusted and rotted away. So every wall in here it's just floating. So you can see there's nothing holding this wall in place, and all of these walls were like that. So I came in and I took some 4x6 pressure treated, anchored that into the concrete, and then attached the walls to it. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do the same there. We probably should reframe this entire wall, but there's just so much plumbing that has been put in. It would almost all have to get cut out and redone. And I don't know if they're gonna wanna pay for that because they're trying to build this one quick and cheap. But yeah, you can see, I think on this side, it's literally the tile down there that's holding that in place. And that tile's not installed very well. And let me tell y'all, kitchens are absolutely disgusting. I mean, commercial kitchens, so freaking gross. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it is just pooled up inside of there with grease, cockroach poop all over the lid. I don't think this place was cleaned very much, let alone the equipment ever pulled out for a decent cleaning. So we're contending with that. Every freaking ceiling panel you pull down is full of rat crap, and I'm talking some hefty chihuahua-sized turds up there. These rats were no joke. But we are framing a new wall here. You can see my bottom plate right there. That is going to be the wall that separates the kitchen from out here. This right here will be the front of a bar and a counter that you can sit at and eat at. Then this wall back here, it's gonna be a solid wall till about here, and then there'll be a big opening window to the kitchen all the way to where it dies into that wall. Now there's a lot of electrical and plumbing and stuff that has to get moved from the existing restaurant. So we're trying to like frame and move as much as I can. Yeah, it's an absolute pain in the butt. So basically, as luck would have it, right where this wall is going to land, the top plate would hit right on that big old, what is that, 2.5 inch, 3 inch main coming in for the fire sprinklers. So if I were to attach my top plate, it's literally right where that pipe is. So I've kind of built a little soffit around it and come down to give me somewhere to attach my top plate. So you can see all of the new wood up there, dropping me below. That pipe, let alone the like 200 different runs of electrical that are all at weird heights, and basically everything up there is in the way. So to not have to deal with that, I have dropped that lumber. So where my new top plate now, and again, all of this is happening above the T-grid ceiling, so you're never gonna see that there's like some weird stuff going on in the ceiling. But now I can put a top plate and frame out my wall and not have to interfere with any of the chaos that's going on up there. It just took like an entire day to get that built and deal with all the crap that's up there, and it is disgusting up there. I can't wait to just be back down here at ground level, because we're moving along. This area is gonna get like a crazy mirror wall treatment, which is the same but different color as the wall that's gonna be here. Again, 2x2, same as you saw in that room. And then this little wing wall right here is gonna get the same thing. So there'll be OSB, crown and base, drywall, 2x2s, just in that little section right there. Again, I know it's dark, I apologize, but we'll just show you all of the plumbing trenches are finally filled in. Plumber is done. We got all our vents going in the walls, floor drains, another floor drain. This line goes out, catches a mop sink that is in a little outdoor room out there. Another vent that got into the wall there, but you can see even like this wall, I don't know why that's a metal stud wall, but that was, but there's just no bottom plate. So we're gonna have to get in there, fix that. No bottom plate left
in any of these walls.
So I know a lot of people and architects and all that prefer metal studs in commercial applications like this, but yeah, it has clearly failed here. Thankfully, everywhere from like, you know, you can see there's 3-4 inches up, the studs are great. So again, this wall got the same treatment, 4x6 pressure treated blocking, screwed it all in, and then now this wall is super, super solid. So I have no idea how much footage I had, but hopefully we made a whole video out of this. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We are slowly making progress. I guess I haven't gone as in depth on this project, but I feel like after the last restaurant build, you guys needed a little bit of a break from the Rhino construction content. But hey, appreciate you guys watching. Please click that like and subscribe button. I'd be honored if you would go check out workfortapparel.com. Y'all are the best. I'm out.
Damn.